All right, so markups, discounts, and taxes. So we're going to start by just getting a little bit of vocabulary down. A markup is not a word that most people are familiar with unless you have a business where you sell things. So a markup is a percentage added to the price to make money. So let's say that you own a candy store and you get packs of gum and you are paying 25 cents for them. You're not going to sell them in your store for 25 cents because then you wouldn't make any money. You want to add a little bit to it. And most stores will just add a percentage to it. That's the markup. That way you make a profit. A markdown, I'm going to put in parentheses discount because you're going to see the word discount more than markdown. This is a percent subtracted to sell stuff fast. So if they have like a million gumballs and you normally charge 25 cents for them, but you just need to get rid of them, you might mark them down to 10 cents, put a clearance sticker on them, and then everybody will want to buy that. So it's basically a discount. They're taking money off the price. And then taxes, we've actually talked about some already. It's a percent added to the price that goes to the government. And so you add a percent on to what you're planning to charge and make money, and then the government takes that to do all the things the government does, roads and bridges, and pay police officers and pay teachers and all of that. So I think you guys are fairly familiar with a discount and with taxes. Markup's the one that I thought might be interesting, but it's just you're adding money to a sale price to make more money, to make a profit. All right, so the first couple of examples that we have will be markups. So are you guys still writing? I'll give you a second. We're all good? Okay, so it wants to know the selling price of each item. So that's the final price. So we have a cost of a purse is $149.95. I've never spent that much on a purse. Some people will. I don't know. They're going to mark it up 50%. That's not unusual. So let's just think about what this looks like. So I'm going to draw my percent bar here. I've got 0%. 100% is always that starting price. So that's $149.95. Okay? So they're going to mark it up 50%. So we're going to add another 50% on. We're adding 50%. And so we don't know what that's going to be. But we know that it's 50%. So we're paying 150% of the price. So you could easily set up your proportion to solve this. There is a shortcut, which we'll talk about in a minute. But if it had been like 47%, the shortcut wouldn't have worked as well. So let's just do it this way first. So 149.95 over 100 equals X over 150. So we're just taking the numbers directly off the bar. We're going to work this out. And so when we solve proportions, we cross multiply. So I'm going to take this times this first. And I'm going to use my calculator to make that easier. So 149.95 times 150. We get 22,492.5. And then remember that we have to crisscross the other way, so that equals 100 times X. And then what do? Go for it. Divide by 100. And that gets rid of this. And that gets rid of this. And so if I do that on my calculator, which you can't really see very well, there you go. Divide by 100. we get $224, and we're going to have to round off the cents. So what are my cents going to be on that? Yes. 93, because the 5 is going to round it up. So my final price is going to be $224.93. So that's just something that's been added to the price. Now 50% is an interesting percent. What do we know about 50% of something? Can anybody tell me what fraction goes with 50%? Yes. 0.5. It's a half. So another way that you could have done this, and I'll just show you this on the calculator, and it would be perfectly legit. Let me make this a little darker. Maybe if I tilt this so you can't see the glare. So if it's 50%, I also could have just done 149.95 and divided it by 2. And so this tells me how much we're going to add. So 74.98 if we round that off. And we could just add that to the original price, 149.95, and you would end up with the same answer. So if you know it's 50%, 50% has some tricks because that's half. Although this percentage bar in the proportions works every time. So that's why I always show that too, because you might get a weird percent later. Okay, so you're going to a pet store, you're buying a lizard. Personally, I wouldn't buy them at the pet store, but that's just what's in the problem. So the cost of a lizard is $14.99. They're marking it up 60%. So if we're thinking about our percent bar, got 0 and 100%. What goes with the 100%? Okay, you've answered a lot. I know they're writing. Shay. $14.99. And we are adding a lot. We're adding more than half of the price. We are adding 60%. And we don't know how much that's going to be, but I know if I take 100% and add 60%, I get 160. So this gives us our proportion. So $14.99 over 100 equals X over 160. And then we can figure out what that final price is. So multiply across. I'm going to use my calculator. Let me see if I can get it tilted where we can see it. So $14.99 times 160, and that gives us 2,398.4. And then with proportions, it's this times this equals this times this. So it'd be equal to 100 times X. And then we get rid of the times 100 by dividing by 100. And what that's going to do is just move our decimal place left 2 places. And then we just have to round it off. So I got 23.984. So what is my final answer going to be if I round it? Shay. $23, and we do still need the cents. Is it going to be 99? If I have a 4 here, it's just going to say 98. It's kind of a trick question since I'm making it. I'm just trying to make you think.
I was trying to round the 8.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, and you would. If this was 5, we would round that up to 99 cents. But
make the 8 round up to 9.
oh, so you're trying to round this place instead of this place. Since it's money, we want to make sure that we keep 2 decimal places. That way we have dollars and cents. Okay, so markups on both of these are money that's added to the price. It's so you can make a profit. And so this price is what they're paying for the lizard when they buy it from the lizard farm. I don't know where you get lizards. And then this is what the customer is actually going to pay. And this difference in here is the profit that the store actually makes. So that's markups. So markups on both of these we were adding. So if you want to just underline the words markups, okay, we're adding when we do markups. Now, discounts is things that we're going to subtract. So let's just put a subtraction sign here. When I see discount, discount, that's money that we're taking off. Discounts are usually given to encourage people to come spend their money or to just sell things faster. So the original price of a comic book is $3.50. Our discount is 10%. So I'm going to go through this a couple of different ways. First, I'm going to do the percent bar because the percent bar works for all of these problems. So we have 0%, 100%. And so the $3.50 goes with the 100%. That's the original price. A discount is going to subtract 10%. So I'm going to go back 10% this way. So if I'm going back 10% from 100%, where would I be, Silas? 90%. So what I did from here to here is I subtracted 10% because I'm going backwards. If I make my bar a little bit fatter, I could actually write that in there. So I'm going to do that really quick. Okay, so 350 is right here. And so what we're doing is we're subtracting 10%. We're going back this way. And now my price is over here and it's lower. If it's a discount, your price is going down. But you can still set up your proportion. X over 90 equals 350 over 100, and it'll all work out. So we just do our normal stuff. So my X is over here this time, which looks a little different, but the process is the same. So I'll have X times 100. Actually, I'm going to do that down here. X times 100 equals 90 times 3.5. So let's get our calculators out to save a little time on that. 90 times 3.50, or just 3.5, and that's 315. And then to get the X by itself, we just divide that by 100. So if you don't know the trick with moving the decimals, you might just do this like this, divide by 100, and we get $3.15 as the final price. Now, we've been talking in this class a lot about shortcuts with 10%. There is another way that you could have done this. So I'm going to write shortcut here, and I have a little bit of room between the problems. If you don't, you could just watch, or you could write this on the bottom of your practice page if you wanted to. How do we find 10% of 3.5 without doing the bar? Go for it. Move the decimal back one place, and so it's right here. So 10% of 3.5 is 35 cents. And since we're doing a discount, then you could have taken $3.50 minus 35 cents, and you still get $3.15. So that's another way that you could get the same answer. If it's 10%, we have that shortcut. We could just move the decimal, and then you just have to know if you're adding or subtracting. Since it's a discount, you subtract. If it were a markup, then you would add. So that trick still comes in handy sometimes if you want to use that. This is the trick that I use when I'm at the store because I don't want to grab a phone and a calculator. I'll just be like, okay, it's $3.50, 10% off is 35 cents, and I just kind of mentally think about how much that's going to be because 10% are just easy. Okay, so let's look at number 5. We've got another 50%, so there's a trick we could do with this, but let's just set it up with the bar first, just because you never know what kind of percentage they're going to give you. It might be a weird one. So we always start with 0% on the left and 100% on the right, and we're buying an SUV, man. $54,500. Now notice I left off the 0.00 just because right now I don't need them. So if it's 50% off, this discount, a lot of times you'll see it like this. It'll say 50% off. That means I'm going back and taking off 50%. Well, it may just be last year's model, or maybe it's 2 years ago and it's been sitting on the lot for a while. At that point, they just want to get rid of it. That way they have room for something newer that people actually want to buy. And so if I start at 100% and I go back 50%, where am I at? 50. We're at 50%. And so then this would be the price that's half. So if you wanted to, you could just take this and divide it in half. I'll go ahead and set up the proportion because some people like to do it the same way all the time. X over 50, 54,500 over 100. So we cross multiply X times 100 equals, and then 50 times that big number, 50 times 54,500 is 2725000, and then we divide by 100, which is just going to take off a couple of those zeros, and it's $27,250. So if we're using the bar for everything, that's what that would look like.
That's still kind of pricey.
It is pricey, but SUVs actually get more expensive than that. They're crazy, crazy expensive for trucks, and actually just for cars in general. Now, if you see 50% off, that should also trigger our brains that that's half. So I'll just make a little side note. I could have just taken this and divided by 2 if I'd wanted to. So another way I could have done this is just divided by 2, and I would have had this answered pretty quickly. So if you see a 50%, you could figure that out pretty fast because it's just going to be half. And then you really don't have to subtract it because you're going to subtract a half and then you'll get the other half, which would be the same. So that's just another way that you could get the same problem, the same answer if it's 50%. But this bar will work if it's 37%, 98%, whatever. You can get your answer no matter what. Okay, so taxes.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one. SUV.
So taxes are definitely a percentage that we add, and it goes to the government. It goes to, here in Lake City, part of it goes to Lake City, part of it goes to the state of Colorado, and part of it actually, for some things, will go to the federal government. Most of your sales tax goes to city and state, I think. I have to think about it. Depends on what it is. So taxes are something that we're adding. So we have the original price of a lizard is $45.99. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my bar. Here's my 100%. So $45.99.
This lizard is more expensive.
It is more expensive. It's a fancy lizard. And then we're adding 5%. So I'm actually making this look a little bigger than I should. But we're adding 5%, which means we'll be at 105. And we're trying to figure out this price right here. So, I started cross multiplying here instead of setting up the proportion, which you could do, totally. So $45.99 over 100 equals X over 105. This is where I should start actually crisscrossing. So if we take this times this, 45.99 times 105. I did that on my calculator. I got 4,828.95. And then that equals 100x. And then you guys have been doing these a lot, so you know we divide by 100. And we end up with this on the calculator, 48.2895. Now we want to stop here where the 8 is, so I have to decide if that rounds up or not. So will it round up?
Yes.
Yes, because the next number is a 9. So our final price is going to be $48.29.